one last video for this lab to go over just a couple of odds and ends. The first thing I want to mention is an oddity that sometimes occurs when using the insert space feature. Remember, in the draw menu, the insert space feature is one of the most important tools to give you room to work in the lab. Watch what happens when I take the mouse and I hover above this list of cities. When I do so, it reveals the text box. This is the area in which I've written these cities' names. If I were to hit return after this, it would add another city, and you can see that the box got a little bit bigger, and I can put another city here. Okay, and each time I do that, the box gets bigger. But now if I want to have some space in the middle because I want to insert something in the middle, maybe a graphic or a picture or just something else, and I put the insert space between Atlanta and Seattle, what this insert space tool does is it separated the text box from one box into two separate boxes, 1, 2. And in doing so, it takes the list and it renumbers it. So now Seattle is number 1 because it thinks you've created a new list. Now I can correct this by putting the cursor in front of the S of Seattle, hit delete, type in the number 4, and then hit the space bar. 4 period, and then hit the space bar. And then my list numbering is continuing from where I left off. Where this might become a problem is in doing some of the labs in this class, we often are numbering the steps throughout the lab. Step 1, step 2, step 13, 14, 15, and so on. And if you insert space in the middle of the lab, quite often it will take some of the subsequent steps and restart the numbering at number 1. And that may seem a little bit confusing because you may see a reference in the lab to something saying, hey, what happened in step 13? And you're like, it doesn't say step 13, it says it's step 2. Well, that's because it got renumbered when you did an insert space. So pay attention to that. It's very easy to correct the numbering when you do the insert space. And if you're aware of that, hopefully when this renumbering starts, you'll be prepared for it and you'll know what happened. Okay, with that little oddity out of the way, I want to mention something else. Sometimes you may feel like, hey, I just screwed things up. Maybe I was working and I deleted a whole section and I thought I could hit undo and it won't undo and I feel like it's lost. If that ever happens, in your OneNote, in the content library will always be an original copy of the lab. So if you go to the navigation panels, go to the content library. I don't actually have this set up here, but there'll be a labs folder and there will be a original master copy of the lab that you've been working on. So when you're working on a particular lab, like in this case I'm working on lab 0, you can always view a clean copy of it in the content library, and you can copy things from that content library back in. So if you are missing something, you can copy it from that content library over to your lab. All right, just a few concluding thoughts. One is pace yourself. Normally you would go into a laboratory and physically do the actual experiment, and that can take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours to complete. These labs here in OneNote are not designed to be rushed through. You have to watch the videos, you have to answer the questions or do calculations or complete an activity, and there's a lot of text to read. It's going to take you some time to complete these labs. It may not take you 3 hours, but it quite might take 2 hours to complete a lab. You definitely have to invest the time to do it. And in that respect, you should not wait until the last minute to do your lab. If you try to wait till the last minute in OneNote, it's just not going to go well. Our experience is students who wait till the last minute are rushing through the lab. They make mistakes. They try to do too much too quickly. And then often everybody's rushing to do it at the last minute. And sometimes the syncing time slows down. And so it takes a little longer to sync and you run into some problems. So my advice to you is pace yourself. You have a lot of time to do the lab. The due dates are very clear. I know it's very tempting to wait to the last minute, but it's just not going to work well if you continually do that. All right, what do you do if you have a problem? Let's say you're working on a lab and it just completely goes wrong and something froze, your browser froze, your computer battery died, you have a problem. and you feel like the lab didn't, you didn't have time to complete the lab, or you needed some assistance and you weren't able to get help in time. Realize in the syllabus there is a policy in the syllabus that says that we drop your lowest 2 lab scores. Because we drop your lowest 2 lab scores, that accounts for the fact that you may have some problems along the way. A technology problem, your computer freezing, OneNote not syncing, your internet quitting, your battery dying, those technology problems, those are not our fault, and we do not give you a free pass when that happens. Instead, if your lab ends up having a low score because of it, you'll be able to drop your lowest 2 scores. If you do have a problem and you have time to address the problem, one of the things you should do is contact your TA. Send your TA an email, go to your TA's office hour, talk through the problem. Often your TA will be able to help you solve the problem, or will be able to point you in a direction to get your problem solved. Finally, a word about academic dishonesty. In these labs, it is going to be quite possible for people to share answers with each other. We realize that we cannot prevent you from doing this, but you are not helping yourself if you do this. First of all, as Purdue students, all of you take the Purdue Honor Pledge. And you all agree that, hey, I'm going to be truthful and honest in my work, and I'm not going to copy anyone else's work. Copying someone else's work does not help you learn. Secondly, often we can figure it out. We'll see answers that are the same or very, very similar. TAs catch on to this, and when we do catch on to this, we do bring this to the attention of the Dean of Students. Additionally, we have some ways of viewing the authors and who wrote what in OneNote, so we may be able to see that this was not your work, but instead work you copied from someone else. My advice to you is, if you pace yourself and you work hard at lab, you're going to do well. You do not need to give in to that temptation to cheat. We trust you. This is a very unique time with the coronavirus, and I believe that all of you will enjoy the labs, and I think that you'll walk away feeling like, hey, it's not quite the same thing as being in the lab in person, but this was the next best thing possible. So I hope you really enjoyed the labs and the experience here in this class this semester doing these labs in Microsoft OneNote.